22nd. It's our February 22nd version.
We're listening.
What were you saying, Charlotte? February 22nd version of our business meeting.
Oh, I did? Without looking at it?
Where's it going?
She's on.
I didn't get my morning run in though. So I'll just have to walk back here and get the signage. All right. So our on-time drawing, no blank spaces. I'm so proud of you. All right, so our on-time drawing. Water is that? That's gonna spill. All right.
Oh, that's your
It's
remote.
cool. So we have lots of folders. ROC title, Realty One, white folders, gold folders. What else do we have in One Looks magazine?
Oh, wow.
We have a box that says ROC title on it. It's a surprise, I'm not telling you what's in it. We also have another box that has something in it.
Probably an elephant.
What's what? It's for you?
Not an elephant.
It's not a, remember it?
All right. What number, yeah, I've heard 2, I've heard 9. All right, ready?
Yes.
Oh.
7.
7. Charlotte, you are 7.
Wow. Try to ignore me, my friend.
It goes in there somehow. All right.
Thank you.
Don't mind me, I'm just gonna have some apples.
Oh, no, don't really.
Good.
How you like them apples?
Just had the apples. Really good. How about the potatoes?
Potatoes are good. Good.
Well, with that being said, let's welcome our breakfast sponsor, Stacia. She provided the apples and the potatoes.
You know how early I had to get out to shred those? Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well. It's supposed to be a beautiful day today before we get some rain again. So I love the rain, except that it grows a lot of weeds in my yard, and then my HOA, like the next day, comes out. Like really. I just wanted to, bring up the fact that, as transactions evolve, and I do see a little more spark in activity. One of the first things that's usually written off out of a contract is the home warranty. If money's tight, if things are, hard to come up with a few extra funds, one of the things that goes first is usually the home warranty. And I just want to put out there that if your clients are shy on funds, do you really think that cutting out the home warranty that could potentially save them thousands of dollars on repairs and replacements is the best thing to cut out? I'm just saying that if things are price sensitive and they, move in and there's an electrical or a plumbing issue or an appliance issue, I'm not saying we cover everything. I'm not saying that there's not going to be some out-of-pocket expense. But it might not be the best thing to cut out, and it might be a good time to look at maybe how you can negotiate something different within there. We know there's so much sensitivity in the news right now with people are sue happy, and actually people have been sue happy for years. It's just different industries that they have targeted. And you work hard for your commissions. The other agent works hard for their commissions, and regardless of what side you're on. And I would hate to see any of that go away because of something that could potentially have been protected, or at least a strong conversation with your clients for something that's around $600, $700 to give them thousands of dollars of protection. So if, you know, and we have, if you go into entry-level packages, they can upgrade for up to 60 days from close of escrow. So maybe they have 500 right now, but they don't have that 640 or that 810. But in 58 days, if they get a few more paychecks and whatnot, they have that money to give themselves a little higher level of coverage. You know, I'm happy to speak with them about that. I don't have as much teeth in the game as you guys do, so I can say things a little more honestly. And I don't mean not. When it comes to price sensitivity, that's a hard conversation to have. And for me, because I'm not making really money off your transaction, you know, it's not that. I can say, hey guys, this is where this comes in. This is where this is a really good value. And it takes some of that pressure off of you, because they're always gonna say, why don't you just cover it? Why don't you? You know what, it's a good negotiation, but as homeowners or home sellers, they have responsibility too. And it just can really keep everybody protected on both sides, as well as the sellers and the buyers. So if you want me to have those little bit harder conversations with your clients when it comes to that, I appreciate a loop in of an introduction, and I will do it. It'll be professional. I'm not, I won't be rude, but it kind of maybe takes the heat off of you and that expectation that it's going to come out of your commission. I mean, if that's something you do, or that's something you want to do, that's entirely up to you. I mean, I'm not here to tell you what to do within your transaction or your contracts, but I think that that's a responsibility that is expected that they could take on, and I'm happy to have that conversation without bringing any commission type of situation into it. So if you aren't working with someone that you like, trust, or have confidence in, I'd love the opportunity to work with you and help you with your business. Thank you.
And thank you for the apples.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right. Upcoming rev-up classes. Tomorrow, right here in this room, is Module 2, your database of your business, and creating your online presence. I'll be the instructor on that from 9 to 11. Next Wednesday is Module 3, the sales cycle and effective client communication. Again, right here, 9 to 11. Jim is the instructor on that one. And then next Friday, the residential purchase agreement, and Tim is the instructor on that one. These classes are geared toward new agents. However, we have experienced agents all the time coming into these classes, and love it when the experienced agents come in. Okay, that is our rev up. All right, speaking of training, who's familiar with who Lee Barrett is? You should all be familiar. Lee Barrett is our past president of LVR. He's also one of my favorite instructors in town. I pay, $25 several times a year just to see him teach classes. Now they may offer alcohol those classes. Maybe that's why I'm. No. I'm there for Lee to learn. But I've got him to agree to come in here and teach the ABR class. It's a designation, accredited buyer representation, and it's a great, with everything that's going on in our industry right now with the lawsuits, being able to have a great buyer presentation where you get your buyer to sign the buyer brokerage agreement, and that's a lot of what he talks about. It's imperative that we get really good at it. So it is March 7th and 8th. We're going to have it right here. There is a cost to it. It's $150 for the 2 days, which if you get it through LVR, I think in the past they charged like $350 for it. So $150 is a small price to pay, I should say.
Does any of, 12 hours agency, I just saw that.
12 hours of CEs, agency CEs, so yeah. That'll put me up like that's 2 days. It's 2 days, both Friday, Thursday, and Friday.
What time to what time?
All day. What does it say here?
I just
8
know
to
I'm bringing
5?
breakfast on the 8th at 8 a.m.
8 to 5, up on the top.
So breakfast and lunch will be served both days.
Dinner?
And we flop it.
Okay. But you know what I was thinking, and I haven't even talked to Stephanie about this yet. She's like, what?
I'm trying to ignore you because you have great ideas, but
When
I'm always
when-
responsible
when
for
I have the great
executing them.
ideas, it's her job to implement them. So she's like, no, I don't wanna hear it. What about a happy hour after Friday?
It's a possibility.
See, I'm asking permission.
I'll see what I can work out.
All right.
You gotta bring
Are
her
we full?
something.
Are there spaces still, a lot of spaces still?
Yeah, so we've had, what, 16 have paid so
Mhm.
far? We've had like 22 that have RSVP, 16 have confirmed and paid. We'll have about 30 spots total open. So we're about halfway full so far. So it will most definitely sell out. All right, so RSVP to Stephanie, and we accept cash, we accept checks, or Zelle. Okay? Any questions on that at all? All right, food truck. Today's food truck day. Every Thursday, food truck out in the parking lot way out that way. Today it is Tiki's Hawaiian Gourmet Hot Dogs. Haven't tried them yet. Don't know. Anyone try it? All right. Speaking of making plans, we have our St. Patrick's Day annual potluck feast, and it's going to be March 14th because the 17th is on a weekend, right?
On Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's March 14th, I think that's a Thursday. It is a potluck. There is a sign-up sheet back there on that table. So RSVP and sign up and bring something tasty. We always have a good time. And there might be some green beer. It always goes back to the alcohol, doesn't it? All right, refer 3. If you refer 3 agents and they sign up, you get your monthly fees waived for a full year. So that could be $1,200. Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did,
But yeah, now it's sinking in. So when are you going to start referring some agents? All right, let's talk about some stats. So who is feeling, who is seeing that the market is changing?
Multiple offers. Mine
Multiple offers.
won. Mine won.
You won. Awesome. Who has a story with the most offers that they went against and won?
I mean, right now I went against 12 and I won.
Oh, yay.
I had a listing and I had 15 the first day.
This is 15 the first day. So we have one agent, I think he's out of Green Valley. He reached out to me because he said he knew that I knew the listing agent that he was putting an offer in on. So he wanted to know, can you help me out here, Mark? I said, sure. So I texted. I said, hey Jeff, I see that you have a listing on 123 Elm Street or whatever, and got one of my agents wants to write an offer. Tell us what it's going to take to make this offer work. I'm pretty blunt sometimes. And within 30 seconds, he calls me up. He says, Mark, I have 34 offers on this property. 3 of them are substantially over list price.
Where was this property? What area?
What's that?
What area was it?
No clue. So I told the agent, he said, all right, forget it. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot more multiple offers.
But Mark, on that too, like structure your deals. I know like on my listing, my seller didn't end up taking the highest financed offer that we ended up taking one that could do like, we literally opened escrow on Monday and closed on Friday.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it was about the money, but that seller, so make the phone call and find out really what
Yeah.
it takes because it's not always the highest price.
Yeah, and you know what, a lot of agents out there think that they can't tell you If they have multiple offers or anything about those offers, they can, absolutely, because it's part of the listing agreement that gives that listing agent the right to tell. So it doesn't hurt to call the listing agent up and ask them those questions. Do you have any current offers on the property? What's the highest offer that you have? What's it going to take to make this work? And this is where relationships really come in. There's been many times where I've called up the listing agent that I've known, and he's like, let's make this deal work, and he tells me exactly what it's going to take to make it work. So relationships matter.
I had a case last week in Sky Canyon where I called.
Charlotte has a question.
And I called up for my buyers that are relocating from South Carolina as Air Force pilot. And they really want this house, but they can't get here till June because he's been reassigned, but he doesn't get his release date till June. So I called up and I said, hey, are you eager to do we have any flexibility? Do you want to close in 30 days? Do you want to close in a week? And she said, oh, actually, I'm this owner. So the listing agent is the owner, and she revealed all this information to me. She said, we love this house. It was our first home. The only reason we're signing, we have 3 kids and 3 dogs, and the yard's not big enough anymore. Oh, we bought it because the yard, they have dogs. They love dogs. Oh, that's so great. And so she said, well, we're not really in a rush. So when did you say? June, July? She said, well, I think it'll be okay. I mean, I can pay for double mortgage for a little while. Do they really want the house? Because maybe could they get here and pay a double mortgage for a month? I don't mind paying. I mean, this is what she's telling me.
Right.
So this
She's
is
revealing what it's going to take.
Right?
Love that.
The first conversation. So, and this was a beautiful, 5. I think it was listed as 575 or something in Sky Canyon. So the point is, we started a conversation, and she had got a couple offers, but they were lower than than she wanted, so she wasn't in that big of a rush. But we could very well have a deal because she's willing to, and it was just a conversation.
So that's a great point. So here's the thing is, we have to build rapport with our buyers and sellers, correct? It's equally important to build rapport with the agent on the other side of the transaction. So many agents go into with an adversarial role, but it's like I always will go into every transaction and make literally my hand and make the other agent my best friend. There may be a time later in the transaction that it could get ugly, but you start off with that agent being your best friend, build rapport, and because that's only gonna help it, with you're just working for your buyer or seller. That's gonna help. Thank you, Charlotte.
And more importantly, in the future, when you have another transaction, if you have a good experience with them.
I saved their
See,
numbers.
we all got it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's relationships matter.
Save their numbers in your phone because
Yeah.
years later you could be reaching out to them again.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So anyway, the numbers. The number I'm watching is our month's inventory. It is going down. It was up to 3.5 or so just about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and it's continued. Like last week it was 2.6. This week it's 2.1. That number continues to go down. That's just that month's inventory. That just says if no more homes come on the market today, we're going to be out of homes in that period of time. That tells us that it's a seller's market. When it gets that low, it tells us when it gets above 4, 5, 6, that tells us we're in a buyer's market. So that is just a good indicator of what kind of market that we're in. So we're definitely in a seller's market right now. Median days on the market is 35 days. Which,
Just I was talking to an agent from Upland, California. They only have 17 listings right now.
in all of Upland? Really? Wow.
17 listings.
Wow.
That's bad.
Yeah. All right. Next up, meet the team. Felicia and Jocelyn, come on up. Tell us what's going on at ROC Title.
Oh, lots of good stuff.
Oh, you brought a chair. It's gonna be a long one.
I actually was bringing it for Matt, but I think I'm gonna be sitting in it. Good morning.
Morning.
Everyone. Where should we start? Oh gosh, well, with all the changes. We have some announcements.
There's
today.
changes going on?
Yeah, so change is always good, and opportunity and new things. So, well, I
do want to start by saying that this is my last day in this office. I appreciate that, guys.
At least they didn't clap.
I will be leaving sales, but I'm still with ROC Title. I will be over at the ROC Title Southwest office. I will be working directly under Shane and Justin, so I'm excited for my new role with the company. And that leaves you guys with Felicia.
You know what, I wanna say thank you though, and I love that she had a whole entire year of learning this side of the business, and she did phenomenal. I've been doing it a long time, and what I've seen come from her in the relationships, we gotta give her a really huge applause. She's worked hard and created long-lasting relationships, just like I have, so it's, the cool part is she's still sales support, I hope. I'll need you. So, yeah, thank you for everything that you did.
I did learn a lot from you.
Yeah. So we actually have gone down to one sales rep per Realty One office. We thought that was a nice change so that we could devote a lot more time to you guys. So I'm actually gonna be here a lot more than 1 day a week. So I'm excited to bring some new things to the table, new classes, new agent classes, helping any team leaders with developing their new agents that need a lot of help in this front end of the business, getting going with, what an opportunity for us to start going after some listings, my gosh. So I'm gonna be developing a farming class and a new agent class, and I'll still bring back the tech tool class. So we'll be looking at a day, Mark and I will get together and figure out when that best day to do that is. So lots of good things happening, I think, so. Thank you for everything that you guys do and support for us. We really appreciate it, and you're just down the street, so.
See me at your signings.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Still haven't been to your office. I know,
You
okay.
need to go. It's
You
so
guys,
pretty.
it's not even 2 miles down the road. So down Durango, left on Russell, and right on the left-hand side.
Down
right at the freeway.
Durango, left on Russell.
Russell.
Okay.
We're in the big white building right by the freeway. So right before you get to the freeway overpass there, you're gonna make a left into the parking lot.
Okay.
I think there's a couple a mortgage company.
Evergreen.
Evergreen's in
Where
there,
is it,
yeah.
where is it in relationship?
Yeah. So we're before the freeway,
Okay.
so don't go all the way to Gramercy, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
All the way
right
there.
before that.
Before the freeway,
Okay.
yeah. So, and a lot of CE classes, who's been to a CE class that we started this year? Okay, there's more coming, so we have one tomorrow actually, are we full?
No, actually, good. Thank you for reminding me that. It did get postponed.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it got
Okay.
postponed until next Friday. Thank you for reminding me. I had it on my calendar to talk
So is
about
that flyer current then, that's on the table?
it. There's no flyer on the table.
I thought I saw a solar flyer out there, okay, so it's
But,
next
yeah,
Friday.
so I've called everybody who signed up to let them know that it was postponed till next Friday.
Has anyone done a solar CE class? It's interesting, it's like, how do you talk about solar for 3 hours? But I will tell you, there's a lot to learn, a lot more than just the solar speakers that we've listened to for like 15, 20 minutes at a time. It's a really good class. I took that one.
9:30 to 1 p.m. next Friday.
Yeah, so, you guys have questions for us? Anything on the data front? No? Open houses this weekend? Anybody doing open houses? Anybody going on a new listing? Who needs a net shade?
Got it already.
Awesome. All right. Have a great weekend. Thank you. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to actually stay up here and help out the next wonderful person I'm going to introduce. Who knows Matt Hoff?
You.
Calling you up now. Who knows Matt Hoff?
All right.
So I'm assuming half the room at least knows you, but I am super excited to be able to have Matt here today. It's an honor to work alongside him for 14 years now. We've worked together.
Wow.
We were at another title company together before ROC, but this is going on 7 years here at ROC this year for both of us. And he is behind the scenes all day long doing what you guys love to read when you get your new files in escrow, your 6-page prelims. So we're gonna hand it off to you. I can bring you a chair. I'm gonna sit. You want a chair too? Okay.
Yeah, or I can use one. Yeah.
I'm not sitting in your
Took
chair.
it, yeah.
You were sitting in my
Yeah.
chair.
So how's everybody doing? Good to see a lot of familiar faces. You know, it's been a while since I've shown my face here in the Southwest. So, you know, I hold this office near and dear to my heart. You know, worked directly out of it for quite some time. So.
Oh, that's right.
It's
I
good to see
forget about
everybody.
that.
Oh, yeah, he was here.
kind of talking about like what is title. As many years as we've all been in the business, sometimes we know what title is, but honestly, I think coming from a title manager,
Would it be better if I sounded better?
probably,
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
So,
Okay.
give some love to the left side of the.
We want you guys to bring some questions too. Even if you don't have an escrow with us and you've been through a title scenario, please, this is open, interactive. We want you to ask the questions and be in the know.
Yeah.
But from the start, let's talk about the difference between escrow and title, because there is a difference.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, escrow, they're the neutral third party in the transaction. They are more handling the funds between each party. They're handling the lender's documents, all that good stuff. Title is the party that is insuring the transaction. So they're either insuring the lender's interest on a refi or a purchase with financing, or the owner's interest, the new owner's interest on the purchase, or both. You could have an owner's policy and a lender's policy if you have a purchase with financing. So.
Now, cash buyer, they don't require having title, or they do?
No, they do. Yeah. So on a cash purchase, you just have an owner's policy. Again, only time you're dealing with the lender's policy if there's a purchase with financing. Again, there's some kind of seller carryback, hard money loan, any kind. If there's a financing vessel involved. So, but yeah, typically again that's the difference. So. A lot of the stuff that you get from escrow, as far as these title requirements, those are actually coming from us. They're not directly coming from escrow. So.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Of course. So there are some investors that say they're going to pay cash, but towards the end, they get hard money loan or an equity line. Do those equity lines need to have title insurance on them? Because it's basically a finance transaction.
So on the lender side, really, even on the owner side, it depends. A lender can technically waive title insurance. An institutional lender will not, I guarantee you, will not waive it, but when you're dealing with like a hard money lender, which is like a private beneficiary,
right.
Sometimes they may waive it. They say, hey, it's not required by our end. In that case, hey, we just want them to acknowledge that they don't want it. Some kind of lender's instructions, noted, hey, policy for the transaction, none. But yeah, technically, no, they do not have to have lender's insurance. It's more of a, hey,
the
preferable, thing like, hey, do we want it? Do we not want it? It's not something that we require. Our state law requires it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you source, when we open the escrow, the first thing you're doing is you're sourcing out to our underwriter or a underwriter to pull the data on the title chain.
So actually, there's two ways to do that. Yes, one part is outsourcing title. Unfortunately, with ROC in the state of Nevada, I don't like to outsource. I like to do all my own searching and take a look at title as a whole myself to look at where the risk is, where are there any clouds on title, what we need to address in order to ensure the transaction. Offshoring is great, or outsourcing. Certain transactions we do it just because they're beyond our scope. Our plant access is semi-limited. So on certain commercial transactions we may have to outsource just because we don't have the manpower. FATCOs, these larger title companies, unfortunately they do have huge plants.
Title plant.
Yeah, title plants. So it's a rarity that we do it, but again, everything I like to keep in-house. I like to search it myself, make sure that, hey, we're addressing something, because I would hate for someone else to search it and then it come on our desk and we send it out, and then it come closing, I'm looking at something and they forgot this or they forgot that, and all of a sudden we hold up the transaction. I would never want to put my escrow team in that position, and I would never like to put the agents in that position. So I like to look at everything myself and make sure I'm doing the commitments from start to finish in-house. So.
And commitments also being prelim.
Yeah,
Call
so
it a
yeah,
couple
so
different
commitments and prelims, they're kind of two different things, but yes, they're ultimately the same thing, yeah.
And so when you say source it out, can you give us an example of what that would mean?
We would just have to, so we would technically, ROC Title would still be doing the escrow. Unfortunately, we would just have another title company come in and ensure the transaction. So as far as my portion, or what my involvement is in the transaction would actually have to go to, you know, another title company, again, just because they have, you know, their more manpower and their plan is a little larger, so.
Which is typically First American Title, because they're our underwriter. our
Yeah,
main underwriter.
typically, yes, yeah, they do underwrite us.
So on that note, do you have, I had a situation with ROC where the First American Title, is that it?
Mhm.
They were difficult. She wouldn't take a rural description, which a lot of rural properties had that. She wanted a certified surveyor to go. So are there options to go somewhere else besides underwritten by that company?
Yes. So yes, we don't necessarily have to, we do it with VACO because again, we're underwritten with them. But in certain situations, yes, we can outsource to Old Republic, to any other one that where we have a direct, they're the direct underwriter, that they have a sufficient plan.
And is that the escrow's officer's choice?
No. Huh? No, well, I mean, because I understand where you're coming with that situation because I do get a lot of the escrow, you know, at First American and they're horrible.
Oh, it was awful.
They're horrible, and again,
It was
I mean, that makes us look good, right? But they were like, it's awful. But yes, I have good relationships with other title companies. You know, and if that's the case, then yeah. But again, where this is a rarity and where we're doing this, again, like you said, there's in rural land where, it's meets and bounds.
Property description wasn't.
Yeah, where you have meets and bounds, and I'm not too sure for people who are familiar with meets and bounds, but you're talking, 85 degrees northwest,
Exactly.
15 minutes, 30 seconds, southeast or whatever. So you have that, that type of legal description, and it becomes harder to do what needs to be done to insure the property. So in that case, they wanted a survey done.
Right.
Typically was because, again, I'm assuming the legal description, they wanted to verify the legal description of the property.
They wanted a surveyor's description of it, not
Yeah,
the
so,
county's.
yeah, and in that case, First American wouldn't insure it until they had an accurate, survey done with an accurate, laid out legal description of the meets and bounds as to how, what are exactly the boundaries of the property.
Could our client request not to use that title company?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. And again, it's not, again, this is a rarity, but, no, definitely, if you had a bad experience.
Oh, yeah, I don't want everyone.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
And if it's something where they come back to you and say, hey, with this, unfortunately, we have to outsource title on this. You can specifically, I don't want to do First American. And in that case, we could, again, no problem, we could.
You could just tell your
Oh,
escrow.
Brad,
Yeah, no
Brad
problem.
knows.
Oh, Brad knows.
Yeah, you know what? Oh, it was Brad. Yeah, because Brad came to me and said, I'm not doing First American ever again.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
So again,
Because of my transaction.
Yeah, I have good relationships with other title companies that are
Okay.
that are willing to help, are willing to step in. God forbid that they need to step in and take over the title portion of a transaction. And First American is just one of them.
Okay.
We have options. So
Awesome.
yeah.
This flyer I left in front of you guys is our red alert flyer. It's not a bad thing. But if there is a red alert that comes up on the prelim, once you've opened your escrow with us and it's, 24, 48 hours, am I quoting the right turnaround time?
Yeah, we're looking at about 24 to 48 hours for a
Prelim turnaround?
Yeah.
Okay. This will be on the cover of your prelim if there is something that's found. So can we start talking about some of these scenarios and
Yeah.
reference? And if you guys have questions that have come back on a transaction you've had, let us know. But we want to make sure everybody understands that a lot of these situations are title only related, so escrow really doesn't get involved, is that correct?
Yeah, so again, a lot of these issues that we run into during the transaction regarding trust, LLCs, certain matters of title that are certain matters of record that affect title. A lot of times, again, they are just the messenger. So these are requirements that are coming down from us, and they're relaying the message to get the proper documentation or that's being requested in order to satisfy the requirement. So this little sheet right here, it kind of lays out common requirements that we see on transactions that are sometimes they're a little tricky. They can hold up closing. Where we started doing the red alert flyer just because we wanted all parties of the transaction to be aware of these issues. And again, some of them are even deal breakers in the transaction. So we want them to be addressed, as soon as escrow's open and you guys, get a copy of the commitment and the requirements laid out. I'm sorry.
Can you back up one step for the benefit of those people that are a little bit newer to the business
Okay,
here?
yeah.
And just give a really quick, brief summary of what title is, what it means, and why we need clear title.
Okay, yeah, yeah, for sure. So title is basically, it's the title to your property. It's your vested interest in the property. So when, we call it title, and a lot of people, who are newer, it's not the same as like title to a vehicle. So you don't actually physically get a document that says, okay, here's the title to your home. You have your grab bargain sale deed, which, grab bargain sale deed data, sometimes they're referred to as warranty deeds. But that's basically saying, hey, you are the vested owner of this property. What we do on the title side, the title insurance side, is we ensure that you have free and clear title, free of all interests, prior interest of record. So we go into public record, we see what's reflected on title. We then lay out requirements to ensure that the new buyer or the new vested owner will have free and clear title. And we issue an insurance policy on that. So God forbid, you take title to your property and you are now the vested owner, and someone comes out of the woodworks and says, no, I have a vested interest in this property. This is either my property or, I had a lien of record and, I'm owed money on this property. Your policy will automatically kick in. You can come to us and we will make sure that you are protected against these interested third parties.
For example, a relative that you didn't know about that had claim to the property.
Yeah, exactly.
For example, an ex-wife who you didn't divorce properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Paperwork, who has, right?
Yeah.
Or a pool company that the
Yeah.
subcontractor didn't get paid, and so those are liens, right? So those are all.
Yeah, matters that would be protected under the policy, yeah.
Where
So-
I do have a flyer, you guys, I brought this today, I didn't hand it out, I didn't want to bombard you with flyers. I have a flyer that breaks down what's covered in our Eagle plan, which is First American, but I do show what the extended coverage covers. Because once in a blue moon, I'm sure you've been asked by the seller, like, you're paying a big amount for title insurance, what's that covering, right? What is that for? Here's your document, and we can include this in your listing package as well.
Okay, I have a question. Years ago, I had a client that had an IRS lien, and I reached out to you, and I was told that the IRS lien goes with the person, not with the property. Is that still the case, or how are IRS liens on somebody affected on their property?
So IRS liens, it's basically by law. It's a
Right.
federal tax lien, is automatically levied against assets. So, and I remember this, and it was kind of something that was lost in translation.
Right.
So they are not specifically recorded against the property.
Right.
They are recorded against the individual.
The individual.
But but they attach to personal property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So any kind of federal tax lien will automatically be levied against assets owned by,
And is that revealed in your title search?
yeah,
when
so
you do that?
we do what we call, it's called a general index or a general search of the name. So anytime we're running a prelim, we always run the individual's name too. So if there's a court order or any kind of judgment that's been issued within the county that the property sits in,
Okay.
that judgment or federal tax lien will automatically attach to that property,
Okay.
okay?
And that's
So-
why we do these, right?
Yes, statement of information. There are statutes of limitations though. So federal tax liens usually 10 years. There's a refiling date that if it succeeds the refiling date, or if it, so if the refiling date on the tax lien has surpassed, then it's out unless it's been refiled.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so yes, judgments, child support, unfortunately, there is no statute of limitation on child support. They are forever. So if you have a seller that has a child support lien, that will automatically attach to the property forever.
Can a buyer in a transaction ask for a copy of all the liens are paid off on the property that is buying?
Everything that's been paid off. Yeah, I don't see a problem.
Is not any personal information like that?
I say I probably wouldn't give them, matters like that are recorded against prior owners' names, but like deeds of trust and liens, that's all public record, so there's no, there's no, I don't see any kind of issue with
Say
giving
the
them.
buyer wanna make sure, how do I know everything is paid up? I need to see a copy of that.
Yeah, that's
And that's why they tied in insurance, because.
yeah, if that's the case, then, I don't see why we couldn't be able to give them.
But it would be a clear title if everything was paid up, right?
Well,
It's
yeah,
even on the settlement statement.
and that's why, again, that's why you have the policy, right?
Right.
So, we're issuing a full-fledged, commitment, our insurance policy against that. Basically saying, hey, these have been paid off, but if he wants further evidence and he actually wants the recorded documents.
Some people are very sensitive.
Yeah, if that's, yeah.
15 years, my kid's gonna have.
If that's the case.
I've had a case like that.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I don't see the problem. Again, it's all public record, so, it's not something that.
The liens are not public, is it?
The trash liens and stuff?
No, let's say.
Like-
Mechanics?
It was a second loan or something.
Oh,
second
the deed of
loan.
trust? Yeah, all deeds of trust, they're all public record.
It says a number, it says document number was recorded. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
say-
that's the instrument number, yeah. But yeah, if you ever, just let us know if you ever run into that.
So back to the red flag, if we get a red flag, I always tell my clients, here's the preliminary title report. If you have any questions, please call the escrow officer, because this is their expertise. Title's not our expertise. If a red flag's to come up, could the client call you directly to find out what it is? Of course, we would know too, but I think the resolution should be through you and not through us as the agent.
Well,
You
and
see
this is,
what I mean?
I don't want, so again, I don't, forgive me for some of the comments that were made prior. Even though escrow is kind of the third, the middle party, they are knowledgeable in these requirements. So just because, again, they're not directly issuing these requirements, again, they're coming from us, but they are knowledgeable in them. God forbid if something were to happen where it blows up and they want to talk to, yes, I'm available to talk to them directly. I'm available to talk to you guys directly, if that's the case.
And the escrow officer too.
Yeah, definitely. Again, if that's what it takes, then definitely I'm here to pick up the phone and talk with you and your client. Very rarely does it spiral into that type of an issue. Have I been a part of that? Yes, I have. So I'm not gonna say it never happens, but definitely, if I need to pick up the phone or I need to send an email, I'm here to talk to you guys. So yeah.
Okay.
Hey man,
How you doing?
good to see you again.
Good. How you doing?
So just kudos to ROC Title. I always do my transactions to ROC Title because it helps just the information and the relationship, being able to walk into an office and ask those questions. So that's why it's important to use, obviously, the partners that we have in the company. Aside from that, I only seen a couple of alerts, and that's been like marriage certificates or just minor stuff there. That's another reason why you order pre-names on your listings as well, just to make sure that you get rid of some of the clouds that might come up across as well. But what I would like is just give me an example of something that is not insurable, or a time where you have said, hey, or as a company has said, we cannot insure this transaction.
So I would say what we run into most is probably questionable deeds. So we have individuals, elderly, individuals who are homeowners who unfortunately they don't do any kind of estate planning towards the the later part of their life. And, you know, as they're unfortunately reaching, you know, the end, their next of kin or their heirs are scrambling to, you know, to handle their assets or their affairs. And what they do is they'll have them execute deeds because, again, there was no estate planning, there was no either power of attorneys, there was no any kind of trust drafted. What they'll do is they'll have them sign a deed over to the children, you know, a week or so before, unfortunately, they pass. So at that point, that's you know, it's a major red flag. You know, the one we're concerned about was the individual who is now unfortunately deceased. You know, one, how did they pass? Were they cognitive? Or were they, you know, was it dementia? Was it Alzheimer's? Even without that, you know, if cancer or any other kind of major medical illness, a lot of times towards the end, you know, they're not all there cognitively, and you know, they're hyped up on medicine. So at that point, did they act upon their own free will on deeding the property to their children? And at that point, what the risk is okay, one, were they cognitive? Did they act on their own free will? Now also two, you have a problem with heirs. Were the people who got the vested interest in the property, were they the only heirs to her estate? Are there any other parties out there that, you know, God forbid we were to insure this transaction, they're gonna come out and say, hey, you know, you guys sold my mother's house.
Would a joint tenancy filing with the right to survivorship mitigate a lot of that? Or?
Yeah. So yeah. You typically, when there's joint tenancy with right to survivor, again, that would definitely, I mean, that helps it completely. In these instances where the deed, usually they're not vested in any kind of, they have no joint tenancy, they have no right to survivorship. They're typically, you know, unfortunately elderly individuals who are now widowed or, you know, never got married, they're single, but they had children. So that's where we see these kind of transactions happen. And
so if no one comes out of the woodwork, then that heir might be fine until they go to sell the house. And then one day they will have a difficult time selling that house.
Well, so the one thing about title, time heals all, right? So the longer time lapse, the safer the transaction becomes, the lower the risk comes. So, you know, we have, let's say that happened 5 years ago, and, you know, the children, you know, the vested owners have held title for 5 years, and there's been no claims, there's been nothing. So at that point, again, it becomes less risky. So I don't want to say that situation always draws those red flags, but if, let's say, that happened within 6 month span, at that point, the risk is definitely elevated. So, again, so we want to travel different avenues to try to eliminate that risk. So
if you're the child and you're the new owner, then do you advise them, honestly, to talk to you all, but then would you say, okay, 5 years has gone by, no one's come out of the woodwork, you don't know of any heirs, so now you should pay to have your title insured so that in the future you don't have any problems if you were not able to insure it from the get-go?
Well, so I mean, if you were to have your title, I think it's to have your title insured yourself on your own property would be a little. I mean, I just think it would kind of be pointless. But let's say if they were to go to sell the property, I don't want to say again. So I don't want to say time does heal all. Does it? When I see that, is it a risk? Yes. I may ask for some additional documentation just to confirm that, hey, you know, the heirs are who they are. But again, you know, for me, the risk definitely dwindles greatly.
So they don't need to get it for themselves for the property. But
No,
when
yeah.
the new buyer goes.
Yeah, so if they wanted to try to go and sell the property, the title company would probably, again, would be less strict or stringent on the requirements that they issue.
But if you're a selling agent and there's somebody saying, I wanna sell my house, they're gonna run into a problem because.
Yeah, so let's say the mother, let's just say, hey, a client comes to you as a seller, or you as the listing agent and say, hey, I want to sell my mom's property. She just passed, and comes to find out, 2 months ago they just did the deed and she passed. Literally 3 days. Yeah, that's gonna be a pretty big problem. So, and again, I mean, there's different ways though that we could try to eliminate that risk. But I'm sorry.
Deed upon death. That's basically a little bit different from what you explained. Is that correct? Because
yes. So yes.
But deed upon death is different.
Yeah, deed upon death is different. So a deed upon death is basically, It's another vessel of transferring assets to certain individuals, heirs, or beneficiaries after you pass. So the Deed upon Death Act in Nevada, basically, you would record a deed upon death against your property. However, the property does not transfer to the beneficiaries of that deed until the vested owner who granted the interest in the property is now passed. So what they would do is record a death cert, it's an affidavit with the death cert, and then the property would transfer to them. The vested interest in the property would transfer to the people listed in that deed, the beneficiary of the deed.
But not automatically, they have to go apply and pay fees and.
Well, yeah, they would have to go and record an affidavit. However, so they would have to go and record the affidavit, and once they recorded the affidavit with the death cert, the county would transfer title to the people that are listed in the beneficiary in that deed. However, yeah. However, there are state statutes that regulate how that needs to happen and how us as a title company can ensure those type of transfers. So anybody who has obtained their interest via a deed upon death, they have to do a few things. One, they have to make sure, because again, this is bypassing probate. You know, the Deed upon Death Act used to be you would have to wait 18 months for you to even sell the property. For any kind of interested third parties to file a claim against the prior owner's estate. So again, you know, you're bypassing probate. Probate would usually take care of all these issues. Now they revised it. So now it's up to the beneficiaries in the deed upon death who benefit from that. So now the vested owner who obtained the property, they have to give notice to creditors in a well-circulated paper. And once they give that first notice within the well-circulated paper, they have to wait 90 days for any kind of creditor or third-party claims to be filed against the estate. Also, too, they would need a waiver of interest from the Nevada Department of Health and Human Services for any kind of Medicaid that was maybe issued on the deceased. Yeah, so those are the two major things that we look for. So unfortunately, you know, a lot of people, they obtain their interest deed upon death and they think they could automatically sell the property without doing any of this, without doing any of the legwork. Unfortunately, it just becomes an issue where we can't insure. And there's, unfortunately, it's state statute, there's no way around it. So anytime you run into those deed upon deaths, definitely make sure that they've done their due diligence, you know, pertaining to what's necessary for, you know, per state statutes. So, yeah.
Thank you. Great to see how much knowledge you have.
Yeah, a bit of, you know.
Famous first rodeo.
Well, I seen them from when he started, so.
Yeah.
He's been in the business so long, I remember that he used to take a stack of the closings down to the county to get recorded at the end of the day.
When I first started, it was right after the crash. We used to,
That's another question, I'm so sorry. After the close of escrow, you will see the new owner's name on. Sometimes you can see it next day, and one of my transactions has been 15 days, it's still showing the owner.
The county's always behind.
Yeah, it's just, it depends on where the county's at.
It's the same county, but one of them was closed after, is done, is clear, showing the new one. The one was recorded before.
That's why all the monthly market trend reports and all the reports we send out, there's always 30 days after, so it just gives it time for the county to catch up on all of that actual data. I'm sorry I answered that, but it is true.
Yeah, no, yeah.
The county's about 30 days behind.
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, the Clark County office, they are here, then they're here, then they're here. They are so inconsistent with everything that unfortunately that's just the way
So
it is.
if you go to the county recorder site and you pull up the parcel number and you see a recording that had taken place, that doesn't necessarily mean the document was updated, or?
Well, the Clark County Recorder's site. Yeah, so the Clark County Recorder's site, they're just gonna give you a list of documents that have been recorded against the property. When you want the actual transfer of ownership, you're gonna have to go to the assessor's office.
Okay.
So once the assessor's office reflects the document and the new ownership, then it has been officially passed.
So that's where the delay is.
Yeah, and then what happens is the assessor's office then transfers their information to the the treasurer's office.
Right.
So, yeah, so it's kind of like, it all falls in line, so, I'm sorry.
In the spirit of the solar classes that are being done, which is great, how important it is for us as agents to make sure that all the sellers in that case and buyers are contacting the solar company to release those UCCs.
Oh, yeah, they're huge. You know, UCCs, you know, they're a little bit different than your standard lien. One, just because, you know, the fact that they could be assumed, so that the assumption aspect of the UCC throws kind of a kink in the transaction. So, you know, let's say you have a buyer that, you know, got qualified for a mortgage. Now you come to find out that now there's a UCC financing statement of record where, you know, the seller's not gonna pay off the solar. They're assuming, what they're betting on is that the new buyer assumes the solar. So now that adds another monthly payment into the whole purchase of the property, so it definitely, I mean, it's huge. The simple fact that, hey, it exists, right? So now there's a financing statement for solar. So, and then also too, you're relying on a third party that's kind of outside of escrow's scope and control as a part of the transaction. So again, that's something that could definitely hold up closing. And again, it throws a wrench in many different aspects or avenues of that. So definitely for you to address it up front, or for us to address it up front, it is definitely, you know,
And I was just gonna say that circles back around to, it's so important to do the early, when you know you have a listing, come to me so I can do a know before you list report or a prelim or a listing package, so we can get you guys that report, and then you'll know, even before you list the property, if there's a UCC.
Yeah.
So we offer that amazing opportunity also to use the Advantage program. If you're starting the title with Matt and, you know, starting it with prior to getting your listing and using us through the transaction, hopefully that buyer keeps us, we will give that discount honorably on both sides of the transaction. So I encourage it.
Yeah.
You should not, and if you don't decide to use us, we'd love for you to, but get somebody to look at like a know before you list report or something before you take a listing.
So do we ask that from you or,
Yes.
or from Brad or from?
Yep, directly from me.
Okay.
Yep, you can text me, email me, preferably email, that's kind of my task to-do list.
Okay.
Just send me an address and just say Felicia, pull a listing package for me on, and usually it's a property profile, we'll give you
Right.
comps, we'll give you a full booklet you can give your seller.
And any outstanding mortgages and,
Absolutely, I mean, you'd be surprised on some of the things that you as an agent prior to your listing appointment didn't know about, like you see on this report. You think you're meeting with, you know, Mr. Anderson, but it's, you know, Mr. Anderson and Lila, who we just married last week, like, it makes a difference.
Well,
So-
I mean, what Jaime pointed out too, you know, let's say you have an owner who obtained their interest via deed upon death, and you don't know that. All you see is that, hey, they're the vested owner now.
right.
I mean, that throws, you know, a wrench in everything, you know, if
Yeah,
you're gonna go and, you know, decide to either list the property or.
More times than any though, I mean, they come back clean, they're easy
Right.
transactions for
Yeah,
you
but
guys.
still, I mean, to say that
You need to
those
know.
issues don't exist,
Right.
you know.
And then a lot of times when you see in the listing agent remarks, you know, seller would like to use, maybe they did start their prelim work, and that is good. Starting it early so you can work on those things that do come up. I do have a sample prelim I can give any of you guys if you wanna see what a dirty, ugly prelim looks like with everything from A to Z. Like I said, I didn't wanna bombard you with paperwork, and we're winding down, we don't have much more time. Can you tell us what happens 24 to 48 hours prior to a closing? What's going on your end?
So 24 to 48 hours prior to your guys' closing, what typically happens is, one, we order an inspection on the property. It's not your other type of inspection where they're inspecting pipes, they're looking at, you know, all that other stuff. Well, what we do is we have a company that goes out and takes a look at the property.
Externally, just drive by.
Yeah, drive by, make sure that, one, there's no evidence of any kind of work being done on the property. That's one, because mechanics liens are, they abide by certain statutes that I could go on forever, but we don't have that much time. But also too, you know, these policies ensure that, you know, that the now owner of the property or the insured lender of the property have access to the property. So this also to make sure that, you know, the roads are not under any kind of construction or damage or anything where the current owner couldn't get access to their property.
Or that it didn't burn down.
Yeah,
No,
that
still
there's an
stand.
actual public easement, or even, I mean, even if it's a private easement, you know, there's an actual easement to the property or access to the property. So, yeah, so it does quite a couple things. So, when we do the inspection, we'll get the recording package, sent over, so we'll have, you know, the new, executed grant bargain sale deed, we'll have, if there's financing, the deed of trust. We'll go through it, make sure that, all the requirements have been satisfied. You know, what coverage are we issuing, just kind of go in, you know, do a quick scope of again, what insurance products are they purchasing or requesting, and, you know, is it compliant, and can we issue the policies, or can we issue the insurance products? And then also too, the day of, we'll do a date down on the property. A date down is basically, we rerun everything to make sure that there's no new items of record that need to be addressed, and that, basically, again, that, you know, hey, we're okay to insure, and, the new buyer has, a free and clear property, and, you know, the lenders, we're doing a lender's policy, the lender has first lien position.
What have you seen on a date down? That's
Man,
come
what
up.
have I seen on a date down?
And a date down is you're doing kind of like the soft prelim pull again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
things end up showing up from the time you wrote
So
your
far.
RPA to now.
Yeah,
What
so
have you
I've seen UCCs pop up, either because the financing company forgot to either record them, or the seller went and got solar at the end because he wanted solar, and they just went and installed solar on their property. So I've seen that. I've seen, what else have I seen?
So it's just an extension of escrow and.
Yeah,
all
I've
the-
seen.
Who's in charge of removing the UCC? Like, if it's not happening, who are we calling to?
Typically, so escrow, so if, let's say if there is a UCC, again, you know, those financing, or the financing is usually through like, what is it, PayPal or something like that, or LoanPal or something like that?
Good lead.
Yeah, Good Lead, yeah, so, or, I think, you know, or Tesla has their own in-house
You're
financing.
going to their finance company?
Yeah, so escrow is going to them, so in order to get it released from the property, it's a termination, it's called a UCC termination.
Okay.
Usually, again, that usually comes directly from the financing company.
And who are they telling to release it to? I mean, who are they telling?
The finance company.
No, so the finance
Yeah, so
company's
escrow will
telling-
reach out to the finance company, and then the finance company will usually, once they figure out what's going on, you know, or is the seller paying it off, is it being assumed?
Right, are they taking
And then the
care of
finance
that, the
company-
settlement?
Yeah, typically, yeah, it'll be, you know, let's say if it was being paid off by the seller, you know, it'll be reflected in the settlement statement. A lot of times if it is getting paid off by the seller, we won't get a termination for it. They'll record it at a later date once they get the funds,
Right.
but as long as we have a payoff demand for the
Right.
UCC, that's sufficient for me to be like, okay, well, it's being taken care of, you know?
And then are you ultimately the one that's the approver of releasing to record?
Yes, yeah, so I'm the one at the end who's like, okay, everything looks good.
So don't yell at Brad, yell
Yeah,
at
no, yeah, I finally put a face to the name.
I think we
So-
all call Brad, we're like, Brad, what's going on?
Yeah.
I
No,
love
but
Brad.
again,
Brad is great, and I need to meet Denver, I haven't met Denver either.
yeah, well, again, you know, I hold this office near and dear to my heart. I know a lot of people, you know, personally. If you're ever in a situation where you need advice, or there's something out of the scope where you can't get a straight answer, or you need something addressed, definitely come to me. My email's still the same. Call the office, just let them know that, hey, you know, I know Matt, and I'll jump on the phone with you guys. You know, it's not something where you guys have to have an escrow or anything like that. You know, if it's an issue like something that you just want to kind of pick my brain about or talk, definitely we could, I'll take a phone call and we could, you know, try to address what your concerns about or what your questions are about.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, yeah, we can go on further.
I know, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Hopefully you learned something about title. And just remember, no matter how you slice it, greatness is a choice. Let's go out and get there.